I was really hoping we did not have to make this video. But something's been brought to our attention that is very serious. And here we have Frank and Homer, who are going to help me in this case because we have to prevent this from happening. And please, if you can also just make this aware to everyone out there by either telling them in text or just talking to them in person, do whatever you can to spread the idea and help stop this.
Right now, I'm here along with Homer, who's over there.
Yeah, I'm here too because this is a very serious case, and we need to prevent this because we did not know that there would be worse than what's already happened. And now, more than ever, we have to prevent that. Exactly. Now, what do you think we might be talking about? Well, I don't know if you already know, but you might be able to tell. So, COPPA has not taken effect on the 1st of January, but rather on the 7th. And it wasn't as bad as we originally thought. So, most channels are still up, YouTube still exists, which is obviously a good thing. COPPA didn't hit too hard, but there are still a few things that were affected. So, for example, Frank's Vacation, we decided to relabel that as for kids, because that seems like it's a little more kid-friendly than most of our other videos. So if you search Frank's Vacation, you're no longer going to find that, because COPPA took effect a few days ago. So, yeah, now any videos labeled as for kids no longer show up in suggestions or recommendations, and they no longer have the notification bell on them, and they also no longer have comments or monetization. We never enabled monetization anyways, which was a good move, because apparently, without monetization on, you can't be fined, and you probably have a much lower chance of being affected. So, had to make that aware.
Right, and COPPA we thought would be the worst of it. Well, my time just fell off. We were dead wrong.
Yeah, we were wrong. So, COPPA took a late effect. Like, it was supposed to take effect on the 1st of January, but instead it took effect a week later. And that wasn't ideal because it gave people a false sense of security, and everyone thought, hey, we're okay, we survived COPPA. But no, that was just a trick, because it took effect a week later than it was supposed to. And how were we able to tell? Well, it wasn't until the 7th of January that we got the email saying that YouTube had changes made, including kids' content losing a bunch of stuff. So, yeah, it took a late effect, but luckily COPPA didn't really affect us. It only really affected Frank's Vacation because we manually relabeled that. But all of our other videos are completely fine, and nothing bad has happened. But now we have something worse that is coming to us, and it could mean the end of YouTube, like the actual end of YouTube, and I'm not joking this time. And what it is, well, Homer will explain that, and it is much worse than COPPA has ever been. So, go ahead, Homer. Right you are, Wario. Well, what we have here is a new act that is going to be placed on top of COPPA. It is called Protect. And what it is it's a further restriction of content, and not only will it affect YouTube and content creators, but it will affect the entire internet. Now, what exactly is it? Well, this act makes it so that kids' content is now for people 16 and under. And that is much worse than having to be under 13 to be a kid. So, we were perfectly fine with people 13 and under having to only go watching kids' content, and obviously, that already happened. COPPA has passed for a few days now, and it's taken effect, and not that many things have happened, but now we got something much worse that could mean the end of the entire internet, not just YouTube. Yes, and so we have to bring this to your attention because it needs to be prevented. If this passes, then the internet will be gone. There will be no more internet and no more YouTube, and nothing, absolutely nothing will be left online. And the internet will be torn down completely. There will be no more websites. The search engines will still be up, but you will find nothing when you search up anything. The entire internet is going to be affected by what's coming up.
Yeah, and why do we need to prevent this? Well, there are actually several reasons why, and Wario, I think you should explain them all, because I only know like a few. But there is one obvious... Dang it, with the tie. There is one obvious reason this needs to be prevented, Because, as Wario just said, it could wipe out the entire internet. 2020, we didn't know this, but it could mean the end of the entire internet. We don't want that.
That is completely right, Frank. Now, COPPA, when it was introduced, we knew we should have prevented it, and we did our best, and the least the FTC could do at least was clear everything up, because obviously COPPA was actually in itself a good thing. It was supposed to protect children online. But now we have something that we cannot let happen, because clearly it will mean the end of everything. When, not just everything actually, like when I say everything I'm over exaggerating, I mean the whole internet. Yeah, and what Wario means by that is this law will restrict not only YouTube, but the entire internet. It is a new side of COPPA that nobody's known before, and it's only been introduced a day ago. And yeah, as I already said, what the new side of COPPA is, with this update to it, and it's only been introduced so it can still be prevented, is you have to be 16 or older to be able to go online. And obviously, what the heck? Who would do such a thing? Who would come up with such an idea? It's only been introduced, it hasn't been passed, but we need to do everything in our power to prevent this from ever happening. If this is passed, the internet is destroyed completely. There's no more online anything. You cannot, use the internet at all if this is passed. Exactly. And yeah, things have been getting worse ever since the introduction to COPPA. And we thought the worst thing that could happen was COPPA would pass and everyone would get fined a bunch of money. And yeah, well, COPPA passed and some people were affected by it. But there are still a bunch of people who are unaffected. And yes, obviously, if you violate COPPA, you do have to pay a fine if you have monetization enabled. But we have no idea the consequences of this new law that's being introduced. And we obviously think it's very absurd, and we'd like to prevent it from even happening. So, everyone, please make it aware to everybody. Make everybody aware of what's going on, because we need everybody on our side. We've already watched a couple videos about it, and we weren't aware until we even saw those videos. But they were fairly recent and only came out 1 day ago. So it's pretty fresh in our heads. And obviously, this is something we need to put a stop to. COPPA was something we just had to change. This thing, we have to prevent completely.
Exactly, when COPPA was introduced, we knew that maybe it wasn't going to be the best Dang, with the tie again. COPPA wouldn't have been the best thing to happen. But we shouldn't have tried to prevent COPPA because it was inevitable, first of all. And secondly, it was a good thing because it was made so that people under the age of 13 would be protected on YouTube. And they wouldn't collect any data anymore for those people. And now that it's been passed, young audiences are hopefully safe from all this, and YouTube will not get fined any more money, and hopefully everything's going smoothly. But now we have the introduction of a new law that seems completely out of place and seems like it would help absolutely nobody. It would do no good for us, it would only do bad. COPPA had its two sides. A good side, protecting children under the age of 13, and a bad side, possibly destroying a creator's career. But they cleared that up and said that fines would be based on how much money a channel makes. And now the COPPA's passed, hopefully everything is going smoothly. Well, Homer, take it away. You've got a lot of explaining to do.
Right you are, Frank. Well, to the fullest extent, I will now explain everything I must for this new law that's going to be passed. 1, what is it? It is called Protect, which is to prevent real threats on the internet to people who are under the age of 16. And that seems like going way too far there. That's going way too far. Number 2, why is it being passed? I don't know. And it's not being passed yet, it's just being introduced. And it's only been introduced like 24 hours ago. So, fairly recent introduction, but there are people who are immediately acting upon it, saying, heck no, we will not deal with this. And everybody is standing against it. We also have Creekcraft, who is making a stand against it as well. He made a stand against COPPA, and they made sure to update everything. And yeah, sure enough, COPPA changed just a little bit so that we would not be screwed over. But now we have something that will screw us over, and it has to be prevented. Now, number 3, why does it have to be prevented? Well, if it's not prevented, then say goodbye to the internet and the YouTube as you know it. Because when this is passed, almost every YouTube channel will be completely destroyed. And we are completely unsure of what's going to happen if you're violating this new law that is really, really, really vague. Because now, it is taking COPPA to a whole new level that we did not want. We were fine with COPPA the way it was. But now, this just destroys everything. And what are the possible penalties for violating such a thing? Those were not introduced either. They did not say whether you would be fined a bunch of money or whether other consequential actions would be taken. That's true, and that's the really bad thing about it, is all they said is that it involves things about people having to be 16 or over to simply use the internet. That was all that was mentioned. They did not mention the consequences of violating the law. They did not mention any details about the law. That's all they said. And just hearing about it, we already had to act against it. So, in the comments section, I want you to agree. I want you to voice your opinions in the comment section, if you have any. Because if you think we're missing something, we'd really like to know. Also, I want you to make this clear to everybody. Tell everyone you can, spread the word. Because this has to be prevented. We are not to allow something like this. COPPA we had to change to make it something that wouldn't destroy YouTube, and thankfully we were successful in doing that, because YouTube still exists and a lot fewer channels were affected than we'd expected, which is a good thing. But now, we're seeing what could be the end of not just YouTube, but the whole internet. And we have to prevent it. So, we actually don't know whether the FTC introduced this, but it does have something to do with the legislator. And we really have to prevent it. I don't know what they're thinking. Nobody knows what they're thinking. And we've already seen the comments page of it in a video that we saw. And every comment was negative and going against that. So clearly, nobody wants this. Not a single soul. If everybody's protesting. COPPA, we had people that were in the middle. They were saying, if we could change COPPA so that it wouldn't affect us, then it would be fine. But now, people are just being dead serious and saying, heck no. This is not something we wanted. Exactly. So, yeah. This has to be prevented. If this is not prevented, then the internet is not going to exist anymore. So, yeah. Is 2020 the end of the internet? Well, that is yet to come, because it's been simply introduced, but we can prevent it from being passed. And I'm hoping that we do prevent this from being passed, because, in my opinion, it's a terrible law. It does no good for anyone. And I think it does more harm than good, because it does 100% harm and no good at all. There's no way that this will help anybody out there. And what it will do is just destroy the internet. So we can't let it be passed. Otherwise, you're gonna have to say goodbye to every website on the internet and every single social media. That's what this is gonna do to us.
Yeah. Oh, come on with that tie. Anyways, we had no intention of having to make this video, but after what's been brought to our attention, I think it's a clear decision. We have to get this out. We gotta spread the news. So, please please, everyone watching, either make your own video about this, protesting against what is said to be passed, and I don't even know when. And we want everyone to make a stand against this, because this is something we simply just can't allow. Like COPPA, we could allow it, and all it needed was a few changes and tweaks and it would have been good. But this, no matter how much it's changed, no matter how much it's bended, this we cannot allow. It won't do any good. It will do way more harm than good, is what I'm saying. And that's something we can't allow, ever. So, whoever was behind making this law, go get your minds straightened out, because honestly, that was a really bad suggestion for anything. So, we're pretty lucky it hasn't been passed yet, and we've only heard the rumor. Like, worst case scenario is that everybody has to protest against this in order to prevent it. But the best case scenario is if it was a false rumor and somebody just, like, put it out there. And hopefully, like, it's not even true. But in case it is, we gotta make it aware to everyone that we can't have it happen.
Yeah, right you are, Frank. Anyways, we're gonna end it off here, and I'm just gonna sum it up. So, basically, what this new law is, it's something that prevents people from under the age of 16 from going on the internet at all. And the reason why this has to be prevented and it cannot be passed is because the internet will go down in history books. Because it would be like the internet 1980 something to 2020. Because the internet will no longer exist if this is passed. And that's why this has to be prevented. So if you guys use the internet daily, if your lives depend on the internet, and I know that by this point in your life, and like this era, or whatever, this decade at least, by this point in evolution of anything, the internet is the most important thing in anyone's life. Like, I'm pretty sure everybody depends on the internet by now. Every person in the world. And hearing about this new law means the internet is going to disappear. We're not going to allow that, so everybody, we have to make a stand against this. We obviously don't want it to happen because it will start with the end of YouTube, but then every other website and social media site and anything ever to exist that involves the internet will end suddenly when this law is passed. So, we can't allow it to be passed. We have to protest, and we are not gonna stop until they take this down. And it's a good thing that this hasn't been passed yet. And again, like Frank said, we hope it's a false rumor. We really hope it's a false rumor, because if it's not, we're all screwed. And we're not just talking about fines this time, we're talking about the end of the entire internet. This will leave thousands of people jobless. This will leave a ton of people homeless and unable to pay things, because a lot of cash goes through the internet now. Like, what's gonna happen if websites that involve paying things and like online banks or whatever just disappear? People are gonna lose a lot of money to it. It's not something we want to happen. So everybody, please make everybody aware of this, and hashtag prevent protect. We can't allow it. Anyways, that's all I've got. That's all we've got. Thanks to Frank and Homer for helping me with this. You're welcome, Mario. Yeah, pleasure. Anyways, that's all we've got for now. We're hoping for the best. Thanks for watching.